leaders and they would meet. Verse 19 says that Korah stirred up the entire community against Moses. It's amazing how quickly disunity can spread. If you're not going to let that discord get in you, you have to go against the grain. The whole city turned against Moses. It all started because one man was disgruntled. The next morning, Moses went to Korah's tent. The two men that conspired with him lived next door. They were all standing outside with their families. Moses said in verse 28, "By this you will know that the Lord has sent me to do the things I've done." While he was still speaking, the ground opened up. An earthquake swallowed those three men, all their families, their tents, their belongings, then closed back up. The 250 men that had joined the revolt, they took off running. I don't blame them. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning wiped them all out. God doesn't play around when it comes to stirring up trouble. Make sure you're not letting poison get in you. Disconnect from any discord. You have a destiny to fulfill. There's nothing the enemy would love any more than for you to go around discontent, distracted, mad at people, feeling shortchanged. And some of that may be valid. Maybe people hurt you. They did you wrong. But you have to let God be your vindicator. Let God fight your battles. If you're hanging around people that are sowing division, there's a good chance you're going to start bringing division. The problem is, when you go to Korah's side, you step out of God's protection. God is against a troublemaker. He's against a sower of discord, a talebearer. And even if what you know is true, the right thing to do is to cover it, not going around stirring up more trouble. The book of Genesis talks about how when Noah got off the ark, he went to his tent and got drunk. He had been on the ark 40 days while it rained, plus an additional 150 days while the water receded. Somebody said, if you had been cramped up with all of your relatives for 190 days, you'd get drunk too. Noah was lying on the ground outside his tent, totally naked, passed out from being drunk. His youngest son, Ham, went to the tent, saw his father with no clothes. Instead of covering him, instead of keeping it to himself, he went out and started telling people. He tried to get others stirred up. I can imagine him saying to his brothers, "You'll never believe what I saw. Dad's making a fool of himself. He's drunk. He's naked." He could have downplayed it, but he tried to get others stirred up. His two brothers didn't take the bait. Their attitude was, we're not going to be drawn into discord, to gossiping, to making people look bad. Even though it was true, they didn't get on board with bringing division, spreading the negative. They went to Noah's tent. When they saw their father lying there with no clothes on, they turned around and walked in backwards. They refused to look at him. They got a blanket and covered him up. What if we had that kind of attitude? When we hear something juicy, it's true, we have every right to say it, but instead of exposing it, we cover it up. We don't tell anyone. We don't go around announcing what we saw. When you cover a person's faults, you're on God's side. When you expose their faults, use what you know to discredit them, you're on the wrong side. God said, "Touch not my anointed." Noah was drunk, but he was still anointed. People can make mistakes, have weaknesses, but they're still anointed. I'm not going to touch God's anointed. Well, Joel, they're off course. They're not honoring God. Maybe not, but they're still made in the image of God. When you come against them, you're coming against the God who created them. When Noah woke up and found out what happened, how his youngest son exposed him, his two other sons covered him, he said to Ham, the youngest, "Your children and grandchildren will always struggle. There will be hardships on your descendants because you dishonored me." He said to the other two sons, because you covered me, because you didn't spread the negative, your descendants will always be blessed. They will rule over cities. Their land will increase. They will always have favor. God doesn't look favorably on people that sow discord, people that stir things up. If you're tempted to gossip, talk about somebody, keep the negative going, don't fall into that trap. If you'll cover it, like these two sons, you and your family will see blessings and favor. This is where Moses' sister Miriam got into trouble. Moses married a Cushite woman, a foreigner. Miriam didn't like this new wife. She started talking behind Moses' back, criticizing him. I can hear her telling their brother Aaron, I don't like this new girl, this foreigner. Yeah, she's nice, but she's not one of us. I think she's just after Moses' money. She's just waiting for the movie royalties from the 10 Commandments. It's easy to have an opinion about everything. Tell people what we think, what we would do. Here's a key that will make your life much more peaceful. Mind your own business. Who they marry, what they drive, how they spend their money, it's none of our business. While Miriam was criticizing Moses, suddenly her skin became full of leprosy. That seems kind of extreme. Just for talking about her family, that's how much God doesn't like when we sow discord. He knows how harmful strife and division is. Moses prayed for Miriam and her skin went back to normal. Paul said in 1 Thessalonians, make it your ambition to live a quiet life and to mind your own affairs. He was saying, don't be a busybody where you have to try to know everything, mind your own business. Really, some things we shouldn't have an opinion, and if we do, we should keep it to ourselves unless they ask. It's hard enough to run our own life. Don't try to run somebody else's. 2 Samuel chapter 20, David had a man criticizing him, bringing conflict, trying to make him look bad, sowing discord. Verse 1 says, a troublemaker named Sheba said, David, we will have nothing to do with you. Come on, men of Israel, let's go home. That day, everyone left David except the tribe of Judah. The truth is, we all have some troublemakers. You can't live very long without either having people try to stir you into discontentment or people try to stir others against you. It's easy to try to straighten out the troublemakers, get